In real estate transactions, the seller must be able to convey to the buyer marketable title at closing. That is, title a reasonably prudent buyer would accept under the circumstances or that's reasonably free of claims. In Staley v. Stephens, the Indiana Court of Appeals considered whether a seller could convey a buyer marketable title when the location of part of a house on the property violated a restrictive covenant. In the late 1970s, Paul and Carolyn Stephens contracted to purchase Paul and Suzanne Staley's property in New Haven, Indiana. At closing, the Stephenses were to receive a title abstract, or a summary history of recorded interests in and claims against the property. This would prove that the Staleys were conveying the Stephenses marketable title. The property was one lot, located in a subdivision that was originally divided into 10 lots. The original subdivision also had a restrictive covenant that required a 10-foot sideline setback. However, lot number 10 of the subdivision was later subdivided into additional lots, and the lot that the Stephenses were to acquire from the Staleys was in the second subdivision. At the time the second subdivision was created, the town of New Haven had a zoning ordinance that required a sideline setback of 8.5 feet. This sideline setback requirement was incorporated by reference into the second subdivision plat map. In a pre-closing survey of the property, the Stephenses discovered that part of the Staley's house was only 8.4 feet from the sideline, in violation of New Haven's zoning ordinance. The Stephenses then asked the Staleys to get their neighbors to waive their rights to litigate over the zoning violation, but the Staleys refused to do so. In response, the Stephenses refused to follow through with the purchase on the grounds that the Staleys couldn't convey them marketable title. Subsequently, the Staleys sued the Stephenses in state superior court for breach of contract. In response, the Stephenses counterclaimed, seeking damages for the Staleys' failure to tender marketable title. The case went to trial, and at the close of the Staleys' evidence, the Stephenses moved for judgment on the evidence. The court granted the motion, but found against the Stephenses on their counterclaim. Both parties appealed to the Indiana Court of Appeals.